hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Bucket with Jo. And good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Jo here at SportsGrid. It's time for Bucket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. Do me a solid. Hit that like, hit that retweet button. We're going to jump right into these games now. A really solid day out there on the ice. Some great matchups. I do think there's a couple of dogs barking out there. So we're going to jump into all of these. Good morning, Kev. It's a great day. It's a great Monday, you guys. So let's get rolling here. We have the San Jose Sharks kicking off a matchup between the Boston Bruins. Now, this is actually a 1 o'clock Eastern game. So this one is going to be seeing the puck drop pretty quick here. The Boston Bruins are the favorite, and rightly so. They've dominated versus the San Jose Sharks. So minus 240 here. We know day games kind of fall a little bit different out there. So a little nervous for them to cover that puck line, but I do think they end up covering the puck line at the end of the day. I think the Sharks will make a push in that first period, but then we see the Boston Bruins pull away in this one. So many playmakers out for the San Jose Sharks, including Tyler Toffoli. So look for Celebrini to step up, but I do think in this one, Boston, Swayman needs to stand tall between the pipes. If they lose this one, or if the Sharks cover that puck line, it's because of Swayman, but I'm not buying into it. I'm going to lay the 1.5 with the Boston Bruins. That's coming in at plus 110. Now that total is sitting at 5.5. Minus 124 to the over and plus 102 to the under. I'm going to stay off of that as well. We've got a Boston Bruins team that has won the last 13 versus the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks have lost their last two. Saturday's lost to the Isles. They're only able to put up one goal. Now, this is the first night of back-to-back for them as well. They're at the Predators tomorrow, home versus the Predators on Thursday. So 2 games versus the Predators on deck for this Sharks team. Not that they'll look past the Boston Bruins. This team sitting 8th in the Pacific. They can't look past any team. But I do think with all of their injuries, it's really going to be detrimental in this matchup. We know this team with Toffoli on the ice has struggled to put a lot of goals on the board in the majority of these games. So without Toffoli on the ice, I do think there's those struggles. Now, is Boston going to be looking ahead to the New Jersey Devils on Wednesday? A little bit of a look ahead spot, of course, because they know they can dominate versus this Sharks team. So if you want to just look at the Bruins first period puck line, laying a half a goal, I don't blame you. I'll go full game, though. I think it has every ability. So they have won the last 13 versus the Sharks and 8 of the last 10 being able to cover that puck line. You see 3 dogs today. I absolutely love that you are seeing those dogs barking out there on the ice, Kev. I do think there's a big opportunity. Now, one game we're going to look at here is the Wild. The Minnesota Wild are a plus 188 dog taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Now, Colorado's minus 230 here on the money line on FanDuel right now, and this total is sitting at 5.5. Minus 132 the over and plus 106 to the under. We know Colorado offensively has the ability to get this one over themselves. Kaprizov, not on the ice for the Minnesota Wild, is being so detrimental to this team. This team just struggles to find the back of the net without him. Gustafson in goal, expected at least here for the Wild, and Mackenzie Blackwood for the Colorado Avalanche. Now, I do think with the defensive power here of the Wild, when this team is 100%, absolutely outstanding. With all of these injuries right now, it's going to be hard for them to slow down Colorado. Colorado is such a solid offensive team with so many playmakers out there that have the ability. So we've got the Wild on this losing streak. They've lost the last 3. They lost Saturday on the road to the Predators. They allowed the Predators to put up 6 goals on them. So that's why I'm leery of this total of 5.5. I do think Colorado could do it all alone. We will see the Wild facing Utah on Thursday, the Flames on Saturday, and the Chicago Blackhawks on Sunday. There's a lot of teams with either weekend back-to-backs loading or weekdays like the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, back-to-backs loading. So a couple of look-ahead situations, most definitely. When we look at the Colorado Avalanche, they face the Jets on Wednesday. They're not going to look past the Minnesota Wild for the Jets. This is the battle of the Central. The Wild actually sitting third in the Central right now, and Colorado sitting fourth. So I do think Colorado can come out nice and strong. They won the last meeting back on just January 9th. It was a big blowout win for Colorado. So you would expect the answer back here for the Wild, but I'm just not seeing it come. Colorado won that last one 6-1, and I could see this game going exactly the same way as they have won the last 5 meetings versus the Wild as well. So I'm going to take Colorado. I'm going to take them on the puck line in the first period. Off that win versus the Stars on Saturday, they're able to get a nice big win, 6-3. I'm looking for them to roll with momentum in this one. Hit Gustafsson early. If you want to look at the under 1.5 in the first period, it might be a way to look, but then we've got to hope that the Wild don't give up 2 goals in the first period with the issues on defense with players missing. It does worry me a little bit. So I'd rather look at Colorado first period puck line, laying a half a goal. I don't think the Wild are able to score on Blackwood in the first period. So that's coming in, laying the half a goal at plus 130 in the first period for the Colorado Avalanche. Now, we're just seeing the Wild just bleeding these shots on goal. So if you want to look at playmakers here for Colorado for their 3+, 4+ shots on goal, I do think it's a solid way to go. I think Gustafsson can do enough to play a solid game in net, but those shots will be coming with the lack of defense out there with those injuries. So Ross Colton, I like for his shots on goal. Nathan MacKinnon for his shots on goal. And Arturi Lankanen for his shots on goal. Now, when I look at who I like on the power play, give me Ross Colton on that power play. He's on those top lines. He's now on the line with Nathan MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. So on that top line with those guys, I do think he has every ability to get a power play point tonight. We know before he got injured earlier in the season, Ross Colton was an absolute moneymaker for us, you guys. So definitely someone we want to circle here. Now, when we look at who's going to get the majority of those shots on goal, I want to look at that center line. So let's just pull up the Avs top lines here. I do think so. Nathan MacKinnon centers the top line. You have to take him for 4+ shots on goal before you get any value. But when you look at the Minnesota Wild have been allowing like the second most shots to centers out there on the ice. So you got Nathan MacKinnon centering the top line with Ross Colton and Mikko Rantanen out there. Now, when you look at that second line, it is Casey Middlestat. Casey Middlestat tonight, I do think will get those shots as well. If you want to look at the long shot score for Casey Middlestat, because he's going to get a lot of shots, it's a nice way to go. And if you want to go all the way down to the third line, you can look at Parker Kelly here, who centers the third line. And I do think it should be a solid way to go. So that's where I'm looking in those. Now, Cale Makar is, we're seeing an exclamation mark for Cale Makar right now up on Colorado. So that means Cale Makar is either out of this lineup or is listed as questionable. So let's just check that. Now, I still do think Colorado can win with or without Cale Makar. Cale Makar is definitely a difference maker out there. We might see the Minnesota Wild score a little bit more because we know Cale Makar is so strong on the defensive side. He's also a player that can get those shots from the blue line. So we do see that as well. So Cale Makar isn't listed anywhere that I can see as day-to-day. We just have the exclamation mark, maybe moving him around on these lines. I doubt it. And then, like I said, Ross Colton with that power play point, he's on that second power play unit. So I like his ability to be able to come out nice and strong. Okay, so that's where we're going with that game. It should be a great one, you guys. I'm really excited for it. Good morning to you two. Battle of the Central between those two. Okay, let's move on to the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres taking on the Seattle Kraken. Now, a lot of people won't be excited for this matchup. We know the struggles of both of these teams. I actually expected more out of the Sabres this season. They're rolling in as the underdog versus the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken are minus 126 on the money line, plus 105 for the Buffalo Sabres, total of 5.5. The 5.5 is juiced to the over at minus 120, but that is where I'm going to go in this matchup. Levi expected here for the Buffalo Sabres and Joey Daccord for the Seattle Kraken. Both of these teams on 5-on-5 hockey are in the top 10 for those shots on goal, and I do think those shots will be coming. Do I trust either goaltender? Not a heck of a lot. Joey Daccord has been allowing those goals to come in. I know Seattle doesn't seem like a really strong offensive team, but versus a defensive team like the Buffalo Sabres, I do think they can put some goals on the board. I'd look at Jared McCann to come out nice and strong. And when we look at Buffalo, We know they have the playmakers. This team just has been having those struggles. This team has been strong in that first period. So that's where I'm going to go. The Buffalo Sabres, if you can get the old puck line because they are the dog laying a half a goal, you're going to get extreme value there. The money line, though, coming in at minus 100 straight up on the money line just to win that first period. And I think it's a great way to go in this one. So I'll take the money line. I'll also take that old puck line laying the half a goal. That's coming in at like plus 190, you guys. So shop around on your books again. FanDuel does not offer that bet. But looking at Seattle, they did win the last matchup 6-2. They've lost their last 6 games as a favorite. Rolling in here as a favorite, just not a good suit for them. They're off the win versus the Kings 4-2. So for them to beat the Kings on Saturday, then come out and beat the Sabres, I think it's asking a lot, but it could happen. So that's why I'm just circling the Sabres in the first period, money line and puck line, reverse puck line. And then I'm going to also look at the over 5.5. Now, the Sabres have won their last 4 first periods, but they are 1-6 in their last 7 meetings versus Seattle. So it's a hard one here to swallow to take the Sabres straight up to get the full game win. Will I be shocked? No. I won't be shocked if they're able to get the win, but I don't want to put my money there for the full game. The over has hit in the last 4 meetings between these two as well. Yeah, the Avs first period just seems like straight freaking money out there, you guys. Let's look at the next matchup here. We have the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues are taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, Vegas, strong team, right? But lost the last 3 games out there. Chicago rolled in to Vegas, got a 5-3 win in that last game out. So really shocking what is happening with Vegas. They're in a mini slump right now. They're a minus 188 favorite here versus the St. Louis Blues. And the St. Louis Blues, when they roll into T-Mobile, have been able to keep it tight with the Vegas Golden Knights. The problem is right now, the St. Louis Blues plus the 1.5 on the puck line is minus 168. So way too highly juiced. I'm hoping for a live betting situation here where we see the juice tick down on the plus 1.5. That would take Vegas to score first at some point in this game, and then us being able to come back in on the St. Louis Blues with closer to plus money, even if it's a minus 110 at plus 1.5. It's where I'm going to be hitting on this. I do think they'll be able to keep it tight. Vegas just hasn't looked like themselves as of late. This total of 5.5, I think it's a nice way to take to the over. The over 5.5 coming in at minus 128. We're looking at the Vegas Golden Knights. They've been allowing these goals, and yes, they want to lock down on the defensive side of things, but St. Louis, this is a team that has scored 4 more goals in 6 of their last 9 games. So they've been really stepping up. Jake Neighbors, Jordan Kyrou. There's a whole list, Robert Thomas, of playmakers out here for the St. Louis Blues that have every ability to hit Adin Hill in this one hard. Now, Jordan Binnington will be on the other side here for the St. Louis Blues, and I do think he should have a solid day, but not one where you're going to contain the offense here of the Vegas Golden Knights. So I think that over 5.5 is in play. Again, we've seen the St. Louis Blues cover that puck line the last 4 times at T-Mobile in Vegas. So I do think a live betting situation here for the St. Louis Blues plus 1.5. I just can't bet them at minus 168. Now, Jordan Kyrou has been strong versus the Western Conference, being able to score a goal in 8 of the Blues' last 10 versus the Western Conference. So sitting first in the Pacific here is Vegas in the Western Conference. Vegas won the last matchup 4-3. So another tight game out there for the St. Louis Blues in that one. Yeah, I think if you're going to take a side in this, Kev, you got to lean for the St. Louis Blues. We're seeing these 2 teams match up again on Thursday. So they will be at St. Louis on Thursday. And then we will see Vegas have the Stars on deck on Friday. If Vegas loses this one, you got to think coming out against the Blues with the Stars on deck, we could see another letdown for Vegas. So that will be 5 losses in a row, which is a hard pill to swallow. And then we see here the St. Louis Blues. They've got the Vegas Golden Knights again on Thursday at home. They face the Stars as well, but not till Saturday. So less of a look ahead here for St. Louis in their next game. So I think it's tight. Could this one go to overtime? Absolutely. I think we could have an overtime bet in this game as well. It's coming in at plus 300. So a lot of other games, plus 350 to plus 290. So they kind of float around in those overtime bets. Okay, let's jump into the next game here, you guys. With the Columbus Blue Jackets, they are taking on the New York Islanders. You guys know my problem with the Islanders, their special team. Worst power play, worst kill in the league. It's something you just can't get out of your head. You look at this team and you want us to bet at minus 184 on the Isles. It's just not somewhere I want to go. But Sorokin and goal, and Sorokin and the Isles rolled into Vegas. And remember, they got that shutout win 4-0 with Adin Hill in net versus the Vegas Golden Knights. So something to always remember, dogs can always be barking out there on the ice, and the Columbus Blue Jackets are plus 152 on the money line. Columbus has struggled on the road. The Isles haven't had much success at home either. Total of 5.5. 5.5 juice to the over at minus 120. I struggle with this one to put my money on the Isles, but I do think the Isles in regulation with home ice advantage should be the way to go. We look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I hate how weak they've been on the road. 6-12-4 on the road this season. They did win the last meeting back in October, 2-0 between these two teams, but they've lost their last 11 road games off of overtime. They're coming off that game versus the New York Rangers. Completely insane. It went all the way to shootout with a 0-0 score. So we did see Columbus lose, the Rangers win in the shootout battle, but 1-0 game. So off a super physical game. Then they are at the Toronto Maple Leafs on Wednesday, at the Carolina Hurricanes on Thursday. So this team needs to get a win before they do that back-to-back versus two hard opponents. I just am not sure that they can get this win here today versus the Isles with the last change. So I'm looking at the Isles in regulation. It's coming in at minus 105. The Blue Jackets have lost 9 of their last 11 meetings versus the Isles as well, and gone 0-5 in the last 5 meetings in New York. So it hasn't been pretty. I would look at the Isles for Bo Horvat to come out nice and strong, and Matthew Barzal. Matthew Barzal has been really strong at home versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. He scored a goal in 5 of the last 6 home games versus the Blue Jackets. So Barzal, Bo Horvat, I like both of those playmakers to come out nice and strong. Now, when we look at the Isles, look ahead. They are versus the Flyers on Friday, who they just lost to at home, but this is Monday. They don't play them till Friday. They are off that win versus the Sharks 4-1. Okay. Yeah, it looks like a good game to pass on, Kev. It really does. This is, the worst special teams team in the league, and you want me to put money on them? It's kind of scary, right? Let's look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So current odds on this one, we have a total of 6.5. Minus 110 to the over. I will take this one to the under. I'm expecting a defensive battle between both of these teams, and we know how strong these offenses can be. I'm not buying into that. Now, I do think it has the opportunity to go to overtime. So this is either 2-2 going to overtime or 3-3 blowing that total of 6.5 out of the water going into OT. So that is my fear with this total. The Tampa Bay Lightning rolling in at plus 112 on the money line, minus 134 here for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have won both of the meetings so far this season, the last one being in November with that big 5-3 win. Andre Vasilevsky expected here for the Lightning, Joseph Woll expected here for the Leafs. Now, both of these teams are on short winning streaks, both winning their last 2. The Tampa Bay Lightning got the win on Saturday versus the Red Wings. Nice big win there as well, 5-1. And when we look at the Leafs, they were able to get their win versus Montreal 7-3. And that was a game they had the fear of God put in them in the first period as Montreal went up 3-0, wasn't able to hold on to their lead, let alone score for the rest of the game. So that defense really did lock down after they allowed those goals to start. Now, no look-ahead situation here for the Leafs. They will face the Columbus Blue Jackets on Wednesday at home. First in the Atlantic, strong at home, 18-9 at home on the season. Third in the Atlantic here for the Lightning. They are sitting 10-2 on the road this season. This is the first night of a back-to-back for the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. They're not going to look ahead to their game tomorrow versus Montreal, but it is a back-to-back situation where we might be able to capitalize on Montreal depending on how this game plays out. If we see that highly physical defensive battle that I'm really hoping for between these two teams, it's going to be hard sledding in that game versus Montreal. If we get that hard-hitting battle, bodies will be sore tomorrow. So first night of back-to-back for the Lightning. They won their last 2. Like I said, this is the first game of a 4-game road trip as well for this team. So they've lost their last 4 first periods as a favorite on the road. So they're not a favorite in this situation, but I do think you could see Toronto come out nice and strong in that first period. I'm going to look at my favorite bet, overtime. Overtime coming in at plus 310. And then I'm going to look at the under 6.5. That could bite me in the butt with the overtime bet. I do think 3-2 win here for the Lightning. I'm going to go with the Lightning. I know how strong the Leafs are at home. It's a hard place to step in front of them. I just can't get past the plus 112 money we're getting on the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. I think they have every ability to get the win with Andre Vasilevsky in goal. And like I said, with how Montreal hit Toronto in the last game, I do think the Lightning will be able to hit Joseph Woll. Now I'm going to look at Braden Point for the point tonight. I do think he can come out nice and strong. I would look at him for the anytime goal as well. And Nikita Kucherov, 21 goals, 46 assists on the season. And we're looking at the other side, William Nylander, always a strong playmaker here for the Leafs. Mitch Marner, 14 goals and 50 assists for the Maple Leafs. So I do think you got a couple of playmakers you definitely want to circle. Okay. The Carolina Hurricanes are taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. I do think the Blackhawks are barking. I know it's a lot to ask. They're coming off that win versus Vegas 5-3. They are facing the Carolina Hurricanes, who are minus 320 here on the money line. That's a disgusting price for a team that's so inconsistent out there on the road. There is no way I would touch that with a 10-foot pole, let alone laying the puck line of 1.5 at minus 124 for a team that can't seem to buy the refs to get that win. Now, we've got the Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5 at plus 102, plus 255 on the money line, total of 5.5 in this game. I do think it's worth a sprinkle looking at Chicago in this one. It is a pure value bet, as well as the fact that Chicago, well, they're off till Friday. On Friday, they faced the Tampa Bay Lightning. They were able to get that win versus Vegas on Saturday at home. So they should have that confidence coming into this one with the Carolina Hurricanes off a win on Friday versus Vegas. So both these teams coming off wins versus Vegas, an extra day rest advantage here for the Carolina Hurricanes, but they have to travel out on the road and a first night of a back-to-back. So they're in a perfect sandwich spot. They had Vegas on Friday, and yes, we saw Chicago with Vegas on Saturday, but they have the Stars tomorrow. So first night of a back-to-back with the Stars on deck at Dallas. I do think they can look past the Chicago Blackhawks in this one. You also look at them third in the Metro, 9-11-2 on the road, and you want me to bet them as a $3 favorite? There is no way. Eighth in the Central here for the Chicago Blackhawks, 10-13 at home this season. So not a great record, but we've also seen when the Canes are out there on the road, they fail to cover the puck line in their last 4 as a favorite. So I can't get behind them. They've also lost their last 6 first periods as a favorite. So if you just want to look at Chicago to come out strong right out of the gate, you definitely can. I'd look at Teravainen. Taylor Hall got us that goal. I didn't mention it to you guys. I forgot to tell you guys. But I told you in the game prior, look at Taylor Hall. He's been so vocal on his future with the Chicago Blackhawks, and he's going to come out and play his best hockey. So I was kicking myself when I saw he got the goal on Saturday versus the Vegas Golden Knights, because I know we didn't discuss it, but Taylor Hall is definitely on my list of players to keep circling out here, as he really does have a lot to play for. His future with Chicago. You look at these players and, you know, they make these cities their home and they love playing for these teams. He's there with Connor Bedard, with Bertuzzi, with Teravainen. Great team, like great young team and great elements out there. So I do think Taylor Hall wants to stay in Chicago. So look for him to come out strong again. And we have seen the Canes win the last 6 meetings in Chicago, but I'm going to take a chance on the Chicago Blackhawks. Let me know if you're fucking crazy like me, and we'll take a chance on the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah, the Chicago Blackhawks are first period over 12-1. So if you want to take the Chicago Blackhawks, even if you just want to take the over 1.5, expecting the Canes to be able to get a goal as well. In a perfect world, the Canes would go out first and Chicago would come back and get the win. At plus like 255 right now on the money line for Chicago, if the Canes go out first, you know they're going to be like plus 300, plus 350, plus 400 dogs in this game. And I definitely will be coming back on this team because I can't trust the Carolina Hurricanes on the road. Okay, we got 2 more games left, you guys. The Winnipeg Jets are taking on the Utah Hockey Club. The Winnipeg Jets are minus 162 here on the money line. The Utah Hockey Club at plus 134. A total of 5.5 in this matchup. I do think Utah is barking, and hear me out on this. Plus 134 on the money line. Total is juiced to the over, -120, like I said, -102 to the under. I'm looking at a Winnipeg Jets team, and they're off that loss to the Calgary Flames at home, 3-1. So wasn't ideal for them. I would have loved to see them get the win versus Calgary, but I look at the rivalry matchup, and the matchup between them and the Avs is something next to none. Like, you look at these teams that get out there, they don't like each other at all. Now, they have the Colorado Avalanche on Wednesday, so there is a day between, but they're here on the road. They've got to stay out on the road, take on the Avs on Wednesday. I do think that is the game circled this week. And I think you look here at the Utah Hockey Club, who's threatened by the Utah Hockey Club. This is a team sitting 7-11-4 at home. They're off the win, yes, versus the Flyers 4-2, but it was the Philadelphia Flyers. They're sitting 6th in the Central, where the Washington Capital or the Winnipeg Jets are sitting 1st in the Central, 13-8 on the road. It smells really bad, this game. It smells like the books are begging us to take the Winnipeg Jets. So Winnipeg right now is -162. Coming into when the lines were first set, they were only a -140 favorite, you guys. So we've seen money come in on Winnipeg, and rightly so. Way better team, right? 1st in the Central versus 6th in the Central. Winnipeg is solid on the road. Winnipeg has a better goaltending. Winnipeg has a better offense. Winnipeg has a better defense. So many reasons. Why are they not a bigger favorite in this matchup? I expected them to be a -250 favorite, us having to. Like at -186 or 68, I'm betting at the puck line anyway if I like a team in that. I can't lay that on the money line, but a lot of people at that price in hockey will lay that kind of price on the money line. That's why we've seen it tick up from -140 to -168. So it feels like they're begging us to take Winnipeg. I'm not biting. It's Utah or nothing in this game. They were +134. They are now, still sitting at that +134 when I got him. Logan Cooley has been nice and strong for this team. Logan Cooley being able to get 3 goals in the last 3 games. I think he steps up in this game as well. So I'm going to go all in on Utah, or it's nothing, right? I want to fade Winnipeg with the Avs on deck. Okay. Let's look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're taking on the LA Kings. Both of these teams coming off of losses. The Kings off a loss at home. Absolutely freaking dangerous out there on the ice. Darcy Kemper expected in goal for them tonight. Now they're coming in at -188 on the money line. So not a bettable range where I'm willing to hit on them. +155 here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Total 5.5. The juice to the 5.5 is actually to the over, and that's something interesting because we've seen, like -140s for the LA Kings when the total is 5.5 to that under. So finally, some juice to that over with the under giving us great plus money. I just can't bite to the under in this one. We know the Pittsburgh Penguins, they struggle on the road. This is not a team you want to bet on the road. 7-11-5 on the road this season. And the LA Kings at home, who wants to step in front of a 12-2-1 record at home, winning the last 9 home games with Darcy Kemper in goal? I don't want to. So it's a way to try to find value in this matchup. With both of these teams coming off of losses, which team can I count on to come out first and really dig deep to try to find the back of the net and then lock down on the defensive side? It is the LA Kings. We've seen the Pittsburgh Penguins be able to get up so solid in those first periods, but we know the LA Kings, after losing to the Kraken 4-2, will be looking to lock down on that defensive side of things as well. I expect the first period to stay under 1.5 with the Kings getting the sole goal. So the Kings puck line, first period coming in at +144. They won their last 9 games, you guys, at home, and I do think they play a solid game here versus the Penguins, who have only won 1 of the last 5 meetings in LA. They've struggled here. Now, Rust has scored a goal in each of the Penguins' last 3 games. So if you're looking for that player that has been really stepping up, it's a nice way to go. And we've also seen trends to the under. These teams have gone 3-0-1 in the last 4 meetings to the under. So I'm expecting the Kings. They've got, the only concern here is the Panthers are on deck on Wednesday. If they're looking ahead at all to the Florida Panthers, which we know teams will do, the reigning Stanley Cup champs, then it's not going to be a good game. I do think what we'll see is a 2-1, 3-1 style win for the Kings. My only issue is if the Penguins go up first in this one, I won't be backing the Kings to come back because I do think at some point they'll just be like, we have the Panthers on deck. This is the 7th team in the Metro. We're sitting 3rd in the Pacific. Yes, we want the points, but we're not going to risk losing the next game to the Panthers just to get the point here versus the Penguins. So that is the way I'm going with this one. Home ice advantage has been strong between these two, 9-3 in the last 12 meetings for the home dog. The underdog, though, has been barking 6-2 in the last 8 meetings. So if you think the Penguins can roll in here and beat the Kings, it is a nice situation with that look ahead. The problem is I just don't trust the Penguins to keep a lead in these games. We know the Kings have every ability to keep fighting with them there. So if we see the Kings go up 2-0, it might be a nice spot to bet the Pittsburgh Penguins plus the 1.5 when you're getting value in a game that we could see the Kings at that last in the third period just allow that goal to get the backdoor cover here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that'd be a way to go. That's what I'm liking, you guys. Let's jump into the recap. We're at the 30-minute mark, and then, yeah, we've got a big day. The national championship is today. My Buckeyes are in action, so make sure you head on over to the SportsGrid app. The Madden Quickie will be up there shortly. We're going to finish up this show, and then I'm going to get it off, and then the Cup of Joe. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. I will be on Game Time Decisions later today, as well as Sports Rage tonight. So make sure you join me everywhere. You can find the SportsGrid. I'm excited to jump on with Gabe on Sports Rage, and then I believe it's with Joe this afternoon on Game Time Decisions. Recap time. We have the San Jose Sharks taking on the Boston Bruins. This one kicking off right away. Give me the Boston Bruins puck line laying 1.5 goals for the full game at plus 104. The Sharks just riddled with injuries right now, including Toffoli. I can't trust them to keep this one tight with the Boston Bruins. The Minnesota Wild and the Colorado Avalanche. I do think the Avs come into this one nice and strong and are able to cover the puck line in the first period. I'll lay the 0.5 goal in the first period at plus 140 with this team rolling in with momentum. We're seeing a Wild team, again, dealing with so many injuries out there. I think it's hard to contain the Colorado Avalanche's offense. Give me Ross Colton here for a power play point. Give me Nathan McKinnon for his shots on goal, as well as Casey Middlestat. We're seeing the Wild give up those shots to the centers. I think both of them come out nice and strong. I'd look at those anytime goals as well for those players. The Buffalo Sabres taking on the Seattle Kraken. Give me the Sabres first period money line. If you can take the alt puck line on your book, laying the 0.5 goal in the first period, I do think the Sabres can get up in the first period, and Seattle probably fights their way back. I think this one stays over 5.5. The St. Louis Blues and the Vegas Golden Knights. The Blues could be barking in this. They always play tight with the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas, though, dangerous off another loss. Lost their last 3. They're at the Blues on Thursday, then the Stars on Friday. I do think the live betting situation here, if Vegas can go up first, and the St. Louis Blues is where I want to go. It's that or nothing, you guys, unless I'm sprinkling on the money line for the Blues coming into this, which I'm not sure if I'll get to the window. So St. Louis puck line plus 1.5 when we're getting value right now before the game, before the puck drops, is minus 168. I do think this one goes over the total of 5.5 as the St. Louis Blues put their share of goals on the board. They've been getting these goals in their last 4 games, 5 games. They've been able to record a whole bunch of them. So I would take the over 5.5 in this game before I did anything else. I'd look at Jordan Kyrou for the anytime goal as well. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the New York Islanders. Tough bet here, you guys. I'm going to take the Isles in reg. And yes, I paused because we're putting our money on a team that has the worst power play and worst kill in the league, but Sorokin in goal tonight. I do trust Sorokin more than I trust Elvis, and we look at Columbus on the road, and they've absolutely fallen flat this season, going 6-12-4. And while the Isles aren't great at home, it is Sorokin. They do have a little bit of a defensive edge in this matchup. The Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto's won the first 2 meetings. I don't think they get that third win. I'm looking for the Lightning to be able to get the win. We're getting them at plus 112. I think the best bet of this game is to go to overtime. I'm expecting a 3-2 overtime game, so it's plus 310 to go to overtime. I'm cautious with the total of 6.5 in case it ends up being 3-3 going into OT. So I'll stay off the total. I'll take the overtime bet. I'll also look at the Lightning straight up on the money line. I do think it could be a live betting situation if Toronto is able to go up first, coming back in on the Tampa Bay Lightning in that case. Now I'm going to look at Nikita Kucherov for the anytime goal, as well as Braden Point for the anytime goal. 0.5 unit on both of those players. And then for the Leafs, I'll put a 0.5 unit on William Nylander for the anytime goal and Mitch Marner for the anytime goal, so that I just have 1 unit on 2 units on 4 players for those goals tonight, because I do think it could be a 3-2 style overtime win. The Carolina Hurricanes and the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't trust the Canes, and they're such a big dog here on the road. They're too inconsistent for me. 9-11-2 on the road this season. And yes, Chicago's not that team that, normally takes down a lot of strong opponents, but they did take down the Vegas Golden Knights in their last game. And I do think they have every ability to keep it tight here with a Carolina team who has struggled to cover that puck line as a favorite in their last four and have been inconsistent on the road. They're sitting 9-11-2 on the road this season. Give me the Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5 at plus 102. On that puck line, I do think it's worth a money line sprinkle at plus 255. And I would love to see the Canes go up first and us to be able to come back with more value on the puck line and the money line here for Chicago. The Winnipeg Jets and the Utah Hockey Club. I think Winnipeg is in a classic look-ahead situation. Big rivalry game Wednesday with the Colorado Avalanche coming off a loss to Calgary, and that's the only detriment here. I wish they got the win versus Calgary on a Saturday. Coming off a loss, that's a hard situation. We should see them come out nice and strong in that first period, but I expect Utah to fight their way back. So if we see the Winnipeg Jets go up first in the first period, I am going to come back in on Utah on that money line. I think they have every ability to win. It just feels choppy, this line. It smells a little bit. Again, it opened at minus 140, now up to minus 168 for the Winnipeg Jets on the money line as money has come in. But I'm going to back Utah in this one. I'm going to back Logan Cooley to find the back of the net. He's been a strong finding the back of the net in the last 3 games. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the LA Kings. I think the Kings come out strong in the first period. They're off a loss to the Kraken. They're at home. Look for them to find the back of Nedeljkovic's net to start this game. I'm going to take first period puck line laying a half a goal at plus 144. The Pittsburgh Penguins have been strong in that first period, but I expect the Kings to go up and then be able to lock down. And the Penguins, another team that just struggles out there on their own. They won this last meeting back in December 3-2 as well. So I'm looking for the Penguins. The Kings to get a little bit of revenge for that. And the Penguins have struggled in LA, only winning one of the last 5 meetings. So that is where we're going with these games, you guys. I'm excited for these games today. I do think we have every ability to make some freaking money out there on the ice. I want to look at a quick round robin. Actually, no, not a round robin parlay, just a long shot parlay out here. I was trying to look at the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Toronto Maple Leafs for any value for those players, for those points. I will put Braden Point in there. Looking at the rest of those guys, they're over 2-1 for the point. So when you're looking at Braden Point, he's like minus 190. I think it's worth it to put him in there. Let's look at Colorado. I'm also looking at the players in Colorado. And again, you're going to have to lay so much. Now, Cale Makar is listed, so I'm not sure why on that one. Cale Makar was kind of a question mark on the Avs, but I'm going to put Ross. Actually, give me Casey Middlestat for a point tonight. He's coming in at plus 130. So we're going to build that, not same game, but parlay here for these players. We're going to leave Boston out of that one because the puck is dropping right away. The St. Louis Blues, I do think we can look at Robert Thomas for the point. I like how he's been playing. And give me Mark Stone here for the Vegas Golden Knights. That's probably all of the players I'm going to put in. Actually, let's look at Chicago. Let's have some fun. Let's put a Chicago player in there. I'm going to look. I know I told you about Taylor Hall, but I don't want to put Taylor Hall in. I'm going to put Teravainen in. You can look at Bertuzzi or Seth Jones. I do think great playmakers out there. I'm going to leave Carolina off of this. And then let's grab Logan Cooley here. Or actually, let's take Clayton Keller for Utah. So this is what I'm looking at for a long shot parlay. We've got 6 legs here. Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues, Mark Stone from the Vegas Golden Knights, Braden Point from the Tampa Bay Lightning, Casey Middlestat from the Colorado Avalanche, Teravainen from the Chicago Blackhawks, and Clayton Keller from the Utah Hockey Club. 6 legs coming in at plus 28.81. So a $10 bet on that, you guys, coming in at 288.19. Let me know, fade or follow. I will read out those players one more time, and then I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. Don't forget to join me over on the grid for game time decisions as well as Sports Rage. So again, Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues, Mark Stone from the Vegas Golden Knights, Braden Point from the Tampa Bay Lightning, Casey Middlestat from the Colorado Avalanche, Teravainen from the Chicago Blackhawks, and Clayton Keller from the Utah Hockey Club, all for a point tonight, coming in 6 legs plus 28.81. You guys, let me know which leg will kill the parlay. Also, let me know what you're loving out there tonight on the ice. I appreciate each and every single one of you for being here with me today. We'll be back tomorrow right here on SportsGrid TV, noon Eastern, for another Pocket with Joe. We'll see you then.
Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first.